The private terminal at Madrid Barajas Airport was designed to provide discretion and efficiency for high-profile travelers, a place where celebrities, politicians, and wealthy business executives could avoid the crowds and media attention that came with using commercial terminals. The facility prided itself on seamless service and absolute professionalism, catering to clients who expected nothing less than perfection in every aspect of their travel experience. On this particular morning, the Real Madrid team was scheduled to depart for an important Champions League match, and the terminal should have been operating with its usual clockwork precision. Instead, what was supposed to be a routine departure was about to become a flashpoint for issues much larger than football. Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at the terminal alongside his teammate Youssef Al-Rashid, a talented midfielder who had joined the team 6 months earlier from a successful stint in the Premier League. Youssef was not only an exceptional player but also a devout Muslim who took his faith seriously, maintaining his prayer schedule even during the demanding travel requirements of professional football. Despite some initial cultural adjustments, he had integrated well with the team and had quickly become one of Ronaldo's closest friends on the squad. Their friendship built on mutual respect, shared dedication to excellence, and countless hours of training together. The two players approached the security checkpoint with their usual travel documents and team credentials, expecting the standard brief inspection that preceded their flights. Ronaldo went through the process first, his global recognition ensuring that security personnel treated him with the mixture of professionalism and deference that had become routine for him at airports around the world. His passport was stamped quickly, his bag given a cursory inspection, and he was waved through with smiles and wishes for good luck in the upcoming match. But when Youssef stepped forward to present his documents, the atmosphere changed dramatically. The security officer, a man named Carlos Mendez, who had been working at the airport for over a decade, looked at Youssef's passport with an expression that shifted from routine professionalism to obvious suspicion. He studied the document far longer than necessary, flipping through pages with exaggerated care while Youssef waited patiently, accustomed to the additional scrutiny that often accompanied his Middle Eastern name and appearance. Youssef Al-Rashid, Mendez read aloud, his pronunciation deliberately awkward and his tone suggesting that the name itself was somehow problematic. "And where are you traveling today?" "With my team to Milan for our Champions League match," Youssef replied politely, gesturing toward Ronaldo and the other Real Madrid players who were waiting nearby. "We're all traveling together on the team charter." Mendez looked at the team credentials that Youssef provided, but instead of processing them quickly, as he had with Ronaldo, he began making phone calls to verify information that was clearly legitimate. Other team members started to notice the delay, and several players approached to see what was causing the holdup. The situation was becoming awkward, not just for Youssef but for the entire team, as their departure time approached and one of their key players remained stuck at security. "Is there a problem with his documents?" Ronaldo asked, approaching the security checkpoint with a friendly but concerned expression. "We need to make our departure time, and Youssef has traveled with the team dozens of times before." Mendez looked up from the phone call he was making and addressed Ronaldo while pointedly ignoring Youssef. "Mr. Ronaldo, there are additional security protocols we need to follow for certain passengers. I'm sure you understand the importance of thorough security measures in today's world." The coded language was unmistakable to everyone present. Ronaldo's expression darkened as he realized what was happening, while Youssef maintained his composure despite the obvious humiliation of being singled out in front of his teammates. Other players began to gather around, sensing that something was wrong but not yet understanding the full scope of what was occurring. "Additional protocols?" Ronaldo repeated, his voice carrying a dangerous edge that his teammates recognized as a warning sign. What additional protocols are required for a professional footballer traveling with his team on official business? Mendez seemed to realize that he was walking into difficult territory, but rather than backing down, he doubled down on his discriminatory approach. "Mr. Ronaldo, passengers from certain regions require enhanced screening. It's not personal, it's just policy. I'm sure Mr. Al-Rashid understands that security is everyone's priority. The euphemistic language fooled no one. Youssef was being subjected to additional scrutiny not because of anything he had done or any legitimate security concern, but because of his nationality, his religion, and the prejudices of a security officer who had decided that those factors made him inherently suspicious. The realization sent a wave of anger through Ronaldo that was visible to everyone present. Policy? Ronaldo's voice was now loud enough to carry throughout the terminal, drawing the attention of other travelers and staff members. What policy requires you to treat my teammate like a criminal while processing identical documents from other players without question? What policy allows you to assume that someone is dangerous based on their name or nationality? Mendez looked around nervously, realizing that the situation was escalating beyond his control and that other airport staff were beginning to pay attention to the confrontation. Sir, please lower your voice. I'm simply following standard security procedures. Standard procedures? Ronaldo's voice grew even louder and more forceful. Is it standard procedure to single out Muslim passengers for special treatment? Is it standard procedure to make phone calls to verify documents that you accepted without question from other travelers? Is it standard procedure to humiliate professional athletes in front of their teammates? By now, the entire terminal had become aware of the confrontation. Other travelers were stopping to watch, airport staff were gathering to see what was causing the commotion, and the Real Madrid team was forming a protective circle around their teammate. Youssef remained calm and dignified throughout the ordeal, but his teammates could see the hurt and frustration in his eyes at being subjected to such treatment. Mr. Mendez, Ronaldo said, reading the security officer's name badge and speaking with cold fury, let me explain something to you about the man you're harassing. Youssef Al-Rashid is one of the most respected players in European football. He's represented his country with honor in 2 World Cups. He speaks 4 languages fluently. He has a university degree in engineering. He's donated millions of dollars to charitable causes around the world. But apparently, none of that matters to you because his name sounds foreign and he practices a religion you don't understand. The security officer tried to interrupt, but Ronaldo was far from finished. You know what's really ironic about this situation, Mr. Mendez? You're treating a man like a terrorist when he's actually spent more time building bridges between cultures and promoting understanding than you've probably spent thinking about anything beyond your narrow prejudices. You're harassing someone whose presence makes Spain stronger, more diverse, and more connected to the global community. Other travelers in the terminal had begun to applaud Ronaldo's words, and several people were recording the confrontation with their phones. The airport management, realizing that they had a public relations disaster unfolding in real time, began to intervene, with senior staff members approaching to try to defuse the situation. Furthermore, Ronaldo continued, his voice now carrying to every corner of the terminal, you're not just insulting Youssef, you're insulting every Muslim traveler who has to endure your suspicious looks and additional screenings. You're representing Spain as a country that judges people by their religion rather than their character. You're making every one of us complicit in discrimination that has no place in a civilized society. A senior airport official finally reached the security checkpoint and quickly assessed the situation. After a brief conversation with Mendez and a review of Youssef's documents, she immediately approved his passage and apologized profusely for the delay. But Ronaldo wasn't satisfied with a quiet resolution that would allow the discrimination to be swept under the rug. This isn't about getting my teammate through security, he announced to the gathered crowd. This is about the fact that tomorrow, other Muslim travelers will face the same treatment from the same officer with the same prejudices. This is about the fact that discrimination doesn't become acceptable just because it's conducted professionally and politely. The confrontation had attracted the attention of journalists and photographers who happened to be in the airport, and within hours, video footage of Ronaldo's defense of his teammate was circulating globally. The incident became a major news story, not just in sports media, but in mainstream outlets around the world, sparking conversations about discrimination in travel, the treatment of Muslim passengers, and the responsibility of public figures to speak out against prejudice. Carlos Mendez was suspended pending investigation and was ultimately terminated from his position after a review revealed a pattern of discriminatory behavior toward passengers from certain ethnic and religious backgrounds. The airport implemented new training programs for security staff and established clearer protocols to prevent profiling based on religion or nationality. More importantly, Ronaldo's intervention became a catalyst for broader changes in how Spanish airports handled security screening, with new oversight measures designed to ensure that all passengers were treated with equal dignity and respect. The incident also strengthened the bond between Ronaldo and Youssef, who was deeply moved by his teammates' willingness to risk controversy and negative publicity to defend him against discrimination. In interviews after the incident, Youssef spoke about how Ronaldo's intervention had meant more to him than any of his athletic achievements, because it represented someone choosing to stand up for justice, even when it would have been easier to remain silent. Cristiano didn't have to say anything, Youssef told reporters. He could have quietly complained to airport management or handled it diplomatically behind the scenes. Instead, he chose to make a public stand against discrimination, knowing that it would bring scrutiny and criticism. That's not just friendship, that's moral courage, and it's something I'll never forget. The incident became a defining moment in both players' careers, remembered not for any goals scored or trophies won, but for the way one man chose to defend another's dignity when it mattered most. It served as a reminder that the most important victories often happen off the field, in moments when individuals choose to confront injustice rather than ignore it, and when solidarity proves stronger than the forces that try to divide people based on their differences. Years later, when Youssef retired from professional football and became an advocate for religious tolerance and cultural understanding, he would often reference that day at the airport as a turning point in his understanding of what true leadership looked like. And Ronaldo, whenever asked about the incident, would simply say that defending a friend against discrimination wasn't heroic or exceptional. It was simply what any decent person should do when confronted with injustice, regardless of the personal cost or public attention that might result.